Finally, the 2026 quest for the Cup begins in oil country. A fresh serving of duck for the first round. It's coming right up. We get you set for game one between the Oilers and the Ducks on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the pregame show. Tom Gazzola, and Sean, Belle, and Fernando Pisani right here live on location at the Canadian Ice House. Shout out to Patrick Garland.
He's on his phone.
He's on his phone. We got Ben Thomson back at EST Global HQ, and we're off and running the Oilers and the Ducks. Yes, go ahead,
Did you want to
Belty.
give a shout out too?
Yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to the Sturgeon County Fire Department. They did me a solid and helped me out with an issue I was having in my backyard.
Well, this is good.
Yeah.
I'm proud.
Yeah.
I mean, this is it's a big deal.
It is. They
just scorched the outside of the yard. Is that what happened?
Well, we won't get into specifics, right? I'm still recovering from it.
Yeah.
Smoke inhalation right now.
Wow. Okay.
I'm happy you could make it here today, buddy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Belzy said he can't handle this many Italians at once, but he's going to have to deal with it.
I'm a little nervous right now.
Belzy must miss me because he's almost sitting on my lap right now. So
I thought about putting my leg over you for a second here.
It's a little tight.
It's a little tight,
but we're good. We'll get through it. A good 5 to 10 minutes with Fernando Pisani. Of course, the pregame show brought to you by GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. Join the conversation via the text line, the Derek Dodge text line at 780-218-9999, or you can hop into the chat live over on YouTube. Derek Dodge is back and under new ownership at Derek Dodge. Lease a 2026 Ram for as low as $250 bi-weekly. Come see what's changed and find out why the best deal is a Derek deal. Visit DerekDodge.com for more information. All right, boys, the playoffs are finally here. The Oilers and the Ducks, the last two teams to get things going. Fernando, I know you're from the city. People always talk about 2006 and how magical that run is. Are you feeling the atmosphere and the energy and the vibes and people rekindling those memories from 20 years ago?
Yeah, this time of year, every year is just a blast. You get to see the excitement in the city, just walking through here and everybody wearing the Oiler jerseys. So it's awesome to see the excitement, and I'm looking forward to being in the building tonight.
How excited do you get? Because, I mean, you were on the side of the players. You went right to the top of the mountain. We all know what happened in Game 7 against Carolina. But for you, does it bring back memories? Because you're pretty calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah, you know what? The first 5 years after being done playing, but now it's been so long that you just kind of get excited. Now you're a fan and you get to experience it on the other side of it. So it's fun. It's going to be a great series, and just watching the hockey in general, the games in the last couple days, like the hockey's been spectacular.
Yeah, really has been. A lot of upsets, a lot of surprising finishes. Last night was fantastic. I don't know if you have to deal with him tonight, but maybe you're fine. You're fine.
I'm fine. He doesn't have to deal with me. The way he's dressed, it looks like he's in the press box.
I'm dressed for a press box.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I'm in the seats today. Got lucky. Don't know how that happened. But,
I don't either. I'm going to have to talk to Pat about that one. We might have to review the list again after today.
You might have to. Guys, you've obviously now, you've retired. You've since become a fan, like you just mentioned. But, if you take yourself back to the playing days, like what is the things that you remember the most about, being an Oiler, going on that magical run? Because one of the things that I've seen in the last couple of years is that the fans, and not only the team, but the fans have kind of like put Edmonton on the map. And when you look at Rogers, it's a bigger building than what Rexall used to be, but it still gets crazy. And I know at Rexall days, that place was going absolutely bananas, but like, just take us back and let us know, kind of the feeling when you're on the ice on that run.
Yeah, the feeling back then is a little different than what I'm sure the guys are feeling now, just because we weren't expected and to go as far or even get into the playoffs. Like now, the expectation is different for these guys, but nonetheless, it's an exciting time. It's, you get to drive up to the rink and you just see the craziness going on. And then, once the guys step on the ice for warm-up, seeing how busy and loud the building will be. Those are the things that I missed. And especially, when I was playing, just the dressing room would open up and you would hear the building and just the excitement. And you just get butterflies in your stomach.
Going through a bar. Well, I know when Belzy was playing for the team, it was a little bit different. That's when I was at Oilers TV, and there were some rough nights, but it must have been like just raucous going into the building too. Remember at the old building, you guys had to go down that one ramp, those old crappy parking lots that they had at the old building. Like, I imagine there'd just be a sea of Oilers fans waiting for you guys to just pass them.
Right at the top. As soon as you come out, it was good and bad. When the team was rocking and everything was awesome, you're waving and loving. But when you weren't very good, and you just duck your head down and just get to your car as quick as possible. But different times.
Yeah. Okay. So the Oilers, the favorites going into this series with the experience, and it's a little bit of a flip situation compared to 2017 when it was the upstart young Oilers going up against a Ducks team that had all those veterans and Getzlaf and Perry, and Henrique was on that team, a little bit younger obviously back then. And we were wondering today at our station, what if the Ducks and Joel Quenneville pulled like a Craig McTavish and changed the strategy and didn't want to go run and gun with the Oilers? Because the Ducks go run and gun right now. They don't play defense that well. Do you think that that's kind of a shock to the system? You guys did it against Detroit.
Yeah, but you can sit back, but when you have 97 coming at you 100 miles an hour and you sit back, he'll just kind of maneuver through and just navigate through the neutral zone and enter the zone, and guys will be flat-footed standing still. So you can come up with whatever game plan, but it's very hard to come up with a game plan that shuts down, 97 and then Draisaitl as well. So it'll be tough for them to come up with a game plan that I think would definitely stop this team.
It's crazy that he's such a weapon like that he can just change a game, and it's like, well, you can try whatever you want on Connor McDavid, but good luck. Belzy, I mean, if you want to jump in here. Hi to Jared and Richie from Modern, by the way.
From Modern. One of the things, Pies, that people always wonder about is who's going to be the next you?
That's right.
You had a magical run. It basically made you a household name. Not to say that you weren't a household name before, but that really put you on the map.
Yeah.
If you're looking at this version of the roster, is there a guy that you can see that's been starting to, have positive games, back-to-back nights, a guy that's been more and more dangerous that essentially would become the next, playoff you?
Savoy's been playing extremely well the last little while, and I can see him continue that into the playoffs. He's playing with McDavid, and I think he's done a great job, and I think he'll continue to do that, and I think he'll have a ton of success moving forward.
How tight do you watch this team? Do you keep it under a close watch, or are you kind of loose?
Yeah,
with it?
you know what? At times I do. To be honest, I got my two boys that are playing, so that consumes a lot of my time just trying to keep up and watch them. But I still follow the team. I still enjoy, watching them, and you just never know what you're going to see when David steps on the ice, and you're always just waiting for something spectacular to happen, and he never disappoints.
Do your boys, first of all, are they future Saints that are going to light up now the BCHL? I know you did it in the AJHL.
Yeah.
And how different when it comes to being, are they Fernando Pisani type players, or are they more Connor McDavid type players? I know I'm throwing you a hot potato.
Yeah.
Can I help you with this?
You know what? I got two boys. One's a defenseman, one's a forward.
Okay.
Former Saint.
Okay. See, there we go.
So, and then
did I touch a nerve?
No.
There's
no
the
nerve.
hot fire, buddy.
No. You know what? So my younger one's playing in Everett. So
okay.
And then he's 16 and he's having a great time with that team. And then my older boy's playing in Cranbrook, and they're in the second round. So they're having a good run too. So
that's on me for not paying attention to the WHL enough.
Yeah.
Outside of the Oil Kings,
that's not Belzy keeping you up to speed, but
no, he does. He does. Belzy. He's very lackadaisical with
that.
But
I mean, Tommy doesn't listen sometimes.
Runs a loose program.
It's very easy going.
Yeah.
Just quickly speaking about your boys and the runs that they're currently on, like Everett is unbelievable. They've been unbelievable all year, coached by Steve Hamilton, Tim Fraggle. They've done a great job. Where do you kind of see those guys going? Because I have this feeling, and I saw Mickey DuPont up in the press box last game, and he gave me that answer like, well, you never know. And I'm like, Mick, come on, man. So they're going to be coming, they're going up against Penticton.
Yeah.
Right.
Is this going to be a closer series than we expect, or is it going to be kind of a landslide? Because, hey, the way that Everett's playing, like, I don't see anyone stopping them.
Yeah, you know what? Kelowna was playing some hard, heavy hockey, and they were physical with Everett, and they seem to, manage that extremely well. And then Penticton will be tough. Like, there's going to be no real easy series, especially when you're at this stage of the game. You run into a hot goaltender, you just don't know. But they are positioned very well. Hammy's done a great job with the group and getting them to buy into the system that he wants them to play. And they just play wave after wave, line after line. And he runs 4 lines for the majority of it, and he will cut down if he needs to, and 6D. So he's getting everybody involved, and everybody's excited. And just watching this group grow from the beginning of the year to where they are now has been a ton of fun to watch.
Yeah. You mentioned just having, playing the right way and understanding what the right way to play is. And if you go back now to the series, Anaheim versus Edmonton, and Tom, you already mentioned it, the Ducks, they play high-flying hockey. Yeah. They don't play a lot of D. The Oilers have had the propensity to give up a lot of, opportunities, chances. But in the last half of the year, they've been much better. If you're the Oilers and you're looking at this series and you're going into it and you're saying, hey, we have the opportunity to play a game that we thrive playing, do you want to go down that path, or would you rather just be in that situation where you're playing sound defensively, kind of what you've been doing in the back half where you've been winning a lot more hockey games and you're giving yourself a lot more breathing room? Like, what is the best scenario in the way to play against the Anaheim Ducks?
Well, I don't think they need to change a ton in their game plan. They're like you said, their defensive game has been very well structured. Adding guys like Murphy on the back end, I think just really solidified that group and his ability to play hard, heavy hockey, physical. But I think Anaheim, like you said, they're going to be a run and gun team that's going to come at you, and they're going to give up opportunities. And when they do, the Oilers just need to be there ready to pounce.
Third meeting between these two franchises in the postseason. The first was in 2006 in the conference final. You guys took care of them in short order, 5-game series. I remember I was flying to Cancun right when you guys went into Game 5, and they were showing on ESPN Deportes at the bar at the resort, White Ave, and Manuel, the bartender, was like, hey, you guys, isn't that your city? And we're like, oh, my God, yeah, I guess they won last night. So do you indulge in any of the festivities? It's a little bit different. It's not a march down White Avenue.
Yeah, no, I don't do the White Ave thing. I just kind of watch on TV, watch at home, and just kind of chill and relax and kind of just be a fan and sit back. Why
were you guys so able to take care of the Ducks in 2006 that easily?
You know what? I think we just, Rolly was hot, and we scored timely goals, and we just were able to it was an easier series than the other ones prior to, for whatever reason. And it just kind of clicked again. And I don't really have an answer for it, because we just were in a mode where we just knew how we had to play, and we just hit the repeat button and just kind of continued it through that series. So we were just dialed in.
I think that Oil Country wants to see more of 2006 Oilers versus Ducks as opposed to 2017 Oilers versus Ducks. Fernando, thank you for the time. We always appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks,
Have fun, and stay out of the moss pit, okay?
Yeah, all right,
I'll
do that.
Crossing the river, man.
Yeah.
He says that to me all the time.
That's Belle's go-to line. So.
Okay, here we
It
go.
is.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure.
Thanks for that.
All right, take care.
All right, there's Fernando Pisani. Oilers, great, joining us for the start of the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. A big thank you to OEG, Patty Garland over there, who used to handle team services. I saw Patty in a lot of sticky situations when we used to travel together, and he handled them very well, Fernando. Do you want to tell a story? No stories. All right, big thank you to Fernando Pisani. and Pat Garland and the crew at OEG for helping us start the show and the postseason the right way. Benny Thomson, let's go to you at EST Global HQ. What'd you think of that to start the show?
Yeah, how about that? Talk about like a playoff legend in Fernando Pisani. I mean, it's a question every year, every time the Oilers get into the playoffs with, who do you think is going to step up and be that new Fernando Pisani? And I like the mention there he gave to Savoy too, because I think he's been playing his best hockey of the year, and I mean he's got a prime opportunity to kind of fill those shoes that Pisani has laid down in 06 with playing with McDavid and Zach Hyman. So I mean this is again best time of year in my opinion. Just like all the hockey going on, all the craziness. I'm just so excited to watch tonight's game and break it all down the post game show. This should be a fun series, especially with how the Ducks play versus the Oilers here, how they match up. Should be a good one.
All right, we got Richie and Jared from Modern Measure. You might recognize. Come around and say hi. We had them on last year. This is Jared from Modern. All right, is that your Paul Coffey? That's your Leon Draisaitl?
I'm Draisaitl today.
That's your Draisaitl. Put that closer to your mouth. Hi, Richie. You see these guys on the Modern Power Play on Hello Hockey. They're ready to go. Richie, just a blank jersey there. Yep. All right, give your prediction. Give your prediction, Jared.
For tonight or the series?
Everything. Go ahead.
I want to say in 5, but I think it's going to be in 6.
Okay. I like that.
I want to say 5. I think if the team shows up the way they should be to play their potential.
Yep.
Right? But they're still kind of haven't been playing together for a while, so. Yep.
I think they'll be okay. Okay, look.
It's not a bad jacket.
I've got the 3-piece that Richie put together.
Looks
we worked
sweet.
together on it. What do you guys think?
Looks sharp.
And then Belzy's got the jacket as well. So you guys have us looking really good.
Yeah. So we didn't mean to interrupt. We just want to come say hi.
No big deal.
Oh, this is all. You're always
part
welcome.
of the show. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Richie, do you want to throw the headset on? What's your prediction?
I'm going to give it to Richie.
Richie from Modern. Quick prediction, Richie.
My prediction, Oilers in 6.
Okay.
Oilers in 6.
I want them to win at home.
I like it. That's a good prediction. Two great people having great predictions.
That's right.
Got the Oilers in 5 with Jared. Oilers in 6 with Richie.
Yeah, and
I have the Oilers in 5.
I have them in 5 as well.
Here we go.
Wow.
How's this 3-piece doing
5
that
as well?
we worked on together?
love it.
What do you think?
It looks fantastic.
Good job. That's all you, buddy. That's all you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, boys. Mix in a water tonight, all right?
All right, guys.
Stay
Thanks for having us
classy,
again.
guys.
There you go. There's a special appearance from Richie and Jared from Modern Measure. Good to see the boys. Thanks, boys.
Hey, boys.
Stay out of trouble. I think they want to buy us some beverages, but
No, I'm trying to avoid.
Yeah, we're avoiding.
We got a long night.
All right.
We got a long night ahead.
Okay, so text us 780-218-9999, Derek Dodge inbox, and then hop into the chat as well. We're going to have Sean Gentille from The Athletic, who we will be hearing from. I spoke with him at the rink earlier. We're also going to hear from Reed Wilkins. Of course, we're going to get to Game Changers with Belzy, and we'll get to your texts as we continue to get set for Game 1 between the Oilers and the Anaheim Ducks. I don't know, like every year the playoffs kind of take on their own feeling and energy. It feels like, Belzy, in the last week or so, as we approach the postseason, the confidence with the fan base has grown in regard to what they think this team is capable of doing. You got Leon Draisaitl coming back tonight, Jason Dickinson coming back tonight. Why do you think that is? Or do you think they're just drunk with excitement for the postseason and are very brave with their predictions now?
No, I think that, you can see how they play. When they have a full lineup, you know that they've got star power. They can score. They're in the top 5 of goals for over the course of the year. And it's always been about, can they defend?
Right.
And in recent weeks, they've started to defend way better. And so when you have those two things start to come together, a team that can defend and also put the puck in the net, it gives you hope. You also have the experience factor that the Oilers have, and it's you can't scoff at that experience factor.
Right.
It's important, and the games that they played in the last 2 years are important despite what the results are. And on top of that, you also look at the division and you go, well, this division hasn't been as good as it has been in recent years. So a lot of those things together all of a sudden go, oh man, the Oilers have an opportunity here to kind of make a run.
Right.
And I know that I've said it. I know that Benny said it. And we've kind of all been like, well, they have a path to the Western Conference Finals that, may or may not be easier than other places, but they still have to get it done.
True.
But it's all those factors that I just mentioned is I think why people are excited about what can possibly happen with the Oilers.
Second round for sure. I think they could squeeze through the second round. Third round's going to be a buzzsaw. But playoff magic. We just had a guy that was the epitome of playoff magic.
Yep.
20 years ago, which is insane. So one boy is in the BCHL, one's in the dub.
That's correct.
Yeah, because Cranbrook's not in the dub anymore.
Yeah.
But that's how long ago that was. And that's how old we are. I was like, oh
I know,
my
right?
God. I just assumed his kids were like 14.
No.
Whoops. Benny Thomson, do you have a question of the night for us and our fantastic audience?
Yeah, this one we're going to keep it basic, start off with game one of the series here. Who do you think is the biggest X factor for the Oilers in this series if they're going to beat the Anaheim Ducks? The biggest X factor.
Let us know your thoughts, 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat as well. It's the Derek Dodge inbox. Go ahead, Bellsy.
Well, the easy answer is Connor McDavid. The hard, the one where it's a little bit more thoughtful is probably Connor Ingram. With Ingram and the way that he's played, he gives them hope every single night. And when you're not letting in those goals that you question and you want back at the end of the day, it allows your team to play a little bit more free. And, maybe you're taking that one extra chance that you may or may not have when it was just ending up in the back of your net. So having solid goaltending is always one of the best ways to advance in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So couple that with timely goals, like Pies was already mentioning, couple that with the fact that you're one of the, highest scoring teams in the NHL, and couple that with the fact that in recent weeks, your defense has been much better. Now you're looking at an opportunity right now to continue to push through. And I know it's game one, but you just start thinking about what the opportunity looks like.
Yeah. So
Connor Ingram to me is probably the most important factor for the Edmonton Oilers.
That's fair. That's completely fair. And I was talking with Dusty on the Oil Stream Afternoon Edition today, and we were going through the categories, and I gave Lucas Dostal the edge over Connor Ingram. And Dusty made a good point, and he looked at the numbers, and the numbers that Dostal put up this year, not great. Ingram's were okay. I think he calmed a lot down, and then people were more assured with him between the pipes rather than the three other guys that played for the Oilers this year in net. But I think Dostal has that capability to steal games. Now,
I would agree with
again, the numbers don't suggest he's having a great year by any means, but I still think, we've seen him a couple of times against the Oil absolutely shine. So we're getting some flybys from the kiddos. I love it. But my X factor is going to be Connor Murphy.
Okay.
Can he regulate Darnell Nurse? Can he steady Darnell Nurse, which would probably calm the waters on the blue line? And there's a rambunctious up-tempo forward group that we've already talked about that the Anaheim Ducks possess. And they're going to be coming after the Oilers, I think, pretty hard. So I think Connor Murphy will be key in keeping Darnell Nurse in check. And if Darnell Nurse is calm, then I think the Oilers blue line takes care of business.
Do you think it's as simple as like, hey, Anaheim is saying we need to get on the forecheck and try to disrupt and cause turnovers from the Oilers D, which will then allow them to play in their own zone a little bit more often?
Yeah. That's been the recipe for success for opposing teams, is they seem to just get on Edmonton's defense and force them to turn over pucks. I mean, Bouchard's guilty of it. Jake Wallman's certainly guilty of it. Darnell Nurse does it. So, anyway, so let us know your thoughts. Question of the night, 780-218-9999. Who is the X factor for the Oilers in this series? Norman at Combine says Rafi Torres.
The Raph, he was good.
That's
he was He was physical. He was a nuisance. I was listening to the morning show, and they were talking about, Colton Dock being potentially the new Rafi Torres.
Okay.
I feel like, they're different games. Like, Rafi was like a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
He had no regard for anybody or anything. Like, I think Colton Dock has a little bit more. He thinks about it a little bit more, and he does a good job of getting in there. He's physical. He plays with some feet. He's got some skill. He's a second-round pick. I don't know if I have a direct comparison for what Doc is, but I mean, I didn't mind the Rafi Torres, but I just think Rafi Torres is more in the lines of what Cassian was, where they're just absolute wrecking balls with zero regard for anything and anyone.
Benny?
Yeah, I mean, to me, yeah, I'd agree with you, Bellsy, there, where it's like he's not, like Rafi, where he, like, I mean, I don't expect Colton Dock to get suspended for 41 games or whatever it was. That's
No.
But to me though, like if Doc and Frederick can have their impact on this series, man, like this is a massive addition for this team. Colton Dock was a guy who, at least in my head, was a throw-in on the Dickinson trade. I didn't really think too much of it. He was a cool local kid, second-round pick. We'll see if he turns out to be anything. I don't know. He might be in the AHL for all we know. And then he's come in and he's deservedly gotten a fourth-line role here game one of the playoffs. And if him and Frederick can just go out there and bruise some bodies, like we've talked about this a bunch of times, where in a playoff series, like the more you can wear down that other team, it's when it gets to games 5, 6, 7, like you're wearing down those D-men, and now they're second guessing moving the puck out of their own end. And Colton Dock and I think Trent Frederick both can really add to that. So if they're playing their best, man, I think that fourth line could be a big piece. I've watched all weekend. I've literally been on the couch watching hockey all day, and I've just seen the fourth lines for these teams that are winning really impact the game, and I think the Oilers can have that here with Doc, Frederick, and Henry.
Yeah, Tommy's
sorry,
he's got a jersey swap that he's got to get to, but I agree with you, Benny. It'll be interesting to see kind of where that third, fourth line goes. Is Dickinson healthy enough to kind of carry that line, his own line, and then can he put the other guys together and utilize them? I think the Oilers are better when they're playing all four lines, and that doesn't mean that I don't think that they're good when they're rolling the big boys. When you have the big boys on the ice, well, obviously that there's a high likelihood they're going to carry the play, they're going to carry the pace, they're going to put the puck in the net. But to me, when you have everybody involved in the game, you just become a harder team to handle. So now you got to deal with the speed, the skill of guys like McDavid and Draisaitl and Nugent-Hopkins. And I mean, even Savoy you can put into that category. But then all of a sudden you have to turn around and you got to deal with the physicality of Frederick and Szymanski and Doc and some of those guys. So I think they're in a very unique situation where they have to play everybody to get everybody involved, because that's the best version of the Oilers that we've seen. Yeah. Not the one where it's just relying on being nuclear at all times.
Okay, good. I'm done with that. It's every year it's like clockwork. People ask for a million things, and they come like that was
Is
family.
our red light on, by the way?
It is.
Oh,
but
okay.
That's a family friend.
Yeah, no, that's all good. I'm not worried about that one.
Yes.
It's all the other people. That's a red light?
Yes, yes. The other ones that are like, can I? Like, I think one guy motioned he wanted to phone you. Did you see that?
I didn't want to phone me.
I don't know.
I think.
Yeah. My brother's laughing. He's like, yeah, that's the other brother. Yeah, no. You're welcome, Paul. You're welcome, not MB Pauly. Okay, let's get into starting lineups, and then we'll dive into game changers. Reed Wilkins will be stopping by as well. He's making his way over from our global HQ. All right. For the Oilers, here's what we're anticipating. By the way, the Oilers made it official. They activated Leon Draisaitl off of LTIR. So, with that being said, we expect McDavid between Savoy and Hyman. Draisaitl with Podkolzin and Kapanen. Dickinson between Nugent-Hopkins and Roslovic. Henrique with Doc and Frederick on defense. Ekholm with Bouchard. Nurse with Murphy. Wallman with Emberson. Lazar, Szymanski, Spencer Stasny expected to be out. Throw Calvin Pickard in there as well. I was told it's good to have Pickard just around the guys and just to have that energy because
they love him.
They love him.
Guy.
He was your old teammate and roommate, and I can attest he's a great human being. So
great guy.
He was the first goalie on the ice today. Actually, first guy on the ice for the optional morning skate.
That's not surprising.
No. All right, for the Ducks, here's what we're expecting tonight. Leo Carlson between Chris Kreider and Troy Terry. Mikhail Granlund with Alex Killorn and Beckett Seneca. Ryan Paling with Mason McTavish and Cutter Gauthier. Tim Washi with Jeffrey Viel and Ian Moore. On defense, Jackson Lacombe with Jacob Trouba. Pavel Minchukov with John Carlson. Tyson Hines with Radko Gudas. No Zellweger, no Hellison, no Vetrano. If anything changes, we'll pass that along your way. In goal tonight, Connor Ingram, who we talked about, the 29-year-old, 16-10-3 on the season, 260 goals against average, 899 save percentage, 2 shutouts in 32 games. Ingram in the postseason career, 0-3-0 record, 364 goals against average, 913 save percentage in 4 playoff games. And then at the other end of the rink, Lukáš Dostal, 25-year-old, 30-20-4 this season, 310 GAA, 888 save percentage, no shutouts in 56 games. This will be his first career Stanley Cup playoff game. That takes us to the Say the Reed Sport Medicine Injury Report. Connor McDavid's got a team of specialists. You've got a bag of what, Bellsy?
Frozen peas.
Frozen peas. Get the same locker room approach, trusted by the best in the game at Say the Reed Sport Medicine. Book your assessment today, www.saythereedsportmed.ca, or call 780-460-9977. Max Jones, lower body for the Oilers. Matthias Janmark, done for the year, shoulder surgery. Did you notice no Jason Dickinson and no Leon Draisaitl? Excellent. For the Anaheim Ducks, Ross Johnson, lower body, Jensen Harkins, hand, and I know Radko Gudas, I mentioned him. I expect him to play. I know he might be a game-time decision, but you're not keeping their captain out of the lineup.
You're not doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's too valuable to that lineup for him to be out of the lineup.
Yeah. All right, let's get into Game Changers with our game analyst, Sean Belle, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting, a consistent top-producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for almost 20 years. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. All right, Bellsy, number 1. Rusty Dry.
Rusty Dry. I mean, we've seen the videos, Twitter, Instagram. He's been kind of on the news. He's flying around the ice. He looks fantastic. Was the break that he's been on enough to propel him to playoff dry? Or is it a situation where, hey, he's just missed so much hockey that he's behind the 8 ball? But one thing I can tell you right now is that the Oilers need a healthy Draisaitl. They need a Draisaitl. Actually, he doesn't even need to be healthy. They just need a guy that can go in there and he can carry his own line and he can elevate another group so that now all of a sudden this team becomes way deeper. He's a very important piece to this hockey team, and whether he's rusty, whether he's ready to go, to me, having Draisaitl in the lineup just helps the overall team so much because he's going to draw so much attention. And now you have, the Trouba matchup with, is it against Draisaitl? Is it against McDavid? You got Gudas against McDavid. You got him against Draisaitl. Right. Like, you just have more options, and it becomes a bit of a matchup nightmare for the Anaheim Ducks when you have now, potentially 2-3 lines going, even 4, because you can argue that 4th line will be flying around the ice as well.
I think there's only one version of playoff Draisaitl, and it's 11 out of 10, tank, beast.
Yep.
I mean, his leg would need to be broken for him to not play.
Yeah. I mean, you remember when Mike Anderson kind of horse-collared him, and I think he gave him a high ankle sprain?
He did.
He was still playing unbelievably well. Like, he's just he's like Yager was, the way that he can protect the puck. I mean, he's an elite passer. He's an elite shooter. Like, he just means so much to this hockey team. And, if they can have a guy that's even 75% of what he normally is. This is a big win for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
Benny Thomson, what do you think of playoff Draisaitl?
I mean, one of the best playoff performers of all time. I don't think it's ridiculous to say that. He's among the highest of points per game in the playoffs, and him and Connor both, man. To be fair, the whole team, man, like the whole core, come playoff time, they all raise their level. And Draisaitl is definitely one of those guys where he hits a different level. You just go, wow, like this guy is one of the best players in the NHL. To me, when he was gone, obviously the biggest struggle, the Oilers survived 5-on-5. If anything, actually, they were pretty good 5-on-5. That power play, man. That power play struggled massively in that final stretch of the season without Leon Draisaitl. You're going up against a PK that is currently sitting 23rd in the NHL heading into the playoffs in the Anaheim Ducks. That first-ranked power play that the Oilers had all year that struggled near the end, I expect to go right back to where it was before with Leon Draisaitl back in. He is the MVP of that power play, and now they're going to play the 23-ranked PK in a playoff series here. I expect that to be a huge factor into why I think the Oilers are going to win this series. And so, yeah, of course, Leon Draisaitl, top 5 player in the NHL, getting him back is huge, but getting playoff Draisaitl is even just that much bigger. So, great news that he's back.
You want to add anything to that?
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, they fixed the 5-on-5 play. They kind of fixed the defensive play, and now all of a sudden you have the ability to get your power play back in order. That's a dangerous Oilers team.
All right, point number 1 of game changers, Rusty Dry. We don't anticipate so. Point number 2, Bellsy, playoff experience.
We can't even talk about how important the playoff experience is. Different situations present so differently across each game. And if you have the experience to understand, like, championship teams don't change the way they play. They just keep going at you in waves and waves and waves. That is important for, especially against a team that's young. They're upstart. They're going to be buzzing around the ice. Well, what happens when adversity strikes? Do they all of a sudden sag, and do they now play a different game? Do they sit back and allow the Oilers to consistently go at them wave after wave? The playoff experience is going to play a massive factor in this particular series, because it just becomes where you're almost like a steel trap. Like, nobody can figure out what you're doing. You just consistently play the exact same way.
Right.
And that's something the Oilers have had to learn to do over the last couple of years, because the team that's beat them in the Stanley Cup playoffs the last 2 years did a better job of that than the Edmonton Oilers. And I just think that the more times you enter the playoffs, the more playoff games you get into, the more you understand that.
It's interesting because Connor McDavid, I think it was yesterday, he had a quote, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, like, they kind of get tired of the regular season.
Yeah, and that's the other piece where they're like, well, whatever, like, the regular season. We want to get to the playoffs. We want to play meaningful hockey because we understand that everything means something.
They looked like a team that got tired of the regular season.
Yeah, and that
large chunks of the season.
Playoff experience is just invaluable at this point.
All right, shout out to Cal and Sarah, Cal in the park and Sarah, who are here, some nasties. Cal's chugging a beer, taking advantage of some great game day specials here at the Canadian Ice House. It's the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. We got Dad and his daughters. They were the ones sneaking it in, getting cameos on the show. And big thank you to everybody who's come by and said hello to us. Or the new people that are like, are you guys on the air? And there's a big bright light that says on air.
Yep.
And then shout out to the DJ. It's not DJ Sid tonight. I think she's on later, but he's cranking it out right now.
Yeah, he is. He's creating the vibe right now.
I'm thankful that we're not, and there's Jared from Modern. I'm thankful. Okay, stay out of trouble. I'm thankful that we're not tucked in beside the DJ.
Yeah,
anymore.
that was always a tough spot.
That was tough. And they built Sid a nice platform.
Yep.
Gager and I used it when we did the pre and post game show here a couple months ago. It was tremendous. But we actually have a really nice setup.
We do have a nice setup. Hopefully it's not in proximity of any tilts.
I have my concerns post game.
That has happened.
I have concerns post game.
Let's stay off the egg wave.
Let's not, because people will clip this show and be like, "There's evidence right
Let's
behind
stay off
Ton
the egg
and
wave.
Shawn." Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Keep
not
it
do
classy.
that. Keep it classy. All right, it is Game Changers with our game analyst, Sean Belle. Point number 1 was Rusty Drive. Point number 2, playoff experience. Game Changers, of course, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Bellsy, point number 3, D first.
D first, we talked about it with Pies and the way that the Oilers need to play to have ultimate success. We know that the Anaheim Ducks have a tough time defending. We know that they can score. They have young players that are high octane. I don't think those are us. Maybe him. Yeah.
There's Reed, Rick.
They're high octane offense. They want to cheat a little bit more on the offensive side. D first matters because if you can limit the amount of chances that they have, if you're not giving up anything for free, you make it way harder on the Anaheim Ducks. And then conversely, well, all of a sudden we know that you can score. We know that this is a team that if you want to trade chances, they'll run up the clock. They'll run it up big time. Right. The game sheet. So the Oilers need to focus on the defensive side first because we know that they can score. Make it a hard matchup for the Anaheim Ducks because I think you can control the game if you play that particular way.
Benny Thomson, how much faith do you have in the Oilers defensively?
I mean, it's been a whole lot better as of late. Obviously the additions of Jason Dickinson, who's going to come in and step in and play tonight most likely, and Connor Murphy, Connor Ingram in your net. I think the whole deal, man, I think this team is going to be much better at be able to defend the Anaheim Ducks. I'm so curious to see how these games are going to be played out because like you were saying, Bellsy, the Oilers should be thinking defensive first, but I also think the Oilers can outchance and outscore the Ducks if they want to play just like trading chance hockey. That's why, to me, I think the Oilers are a big favorite in this series because either way you want to play, I think the Oilers are better than the Ducks in whether that's trying to shut down the other team or try to run it up the scoreboard. So to me, I have some pretty good confidence in this team right now with Murphy and Nurse turning into this solid shutdown pair for them. Wallman going into his proper spot in a third pair on his left side with Ty Emberson, who's played some good hockey this year. I'm confident in this Oilers decor right now, and it obviously helps that you have Connor Ingram, who's been really solid for you in between the pipes. So I have confidence that this team can shut down the Anaheim Ducks tonight and in the series.
What say you? Go ahead, Bellsy.
No, I was just going to say I don't disagree with you in the points that you made, and especially with the they can outchance it. But what you're doing is you're not necessarily just trying to win this particular game or series. You're trying to prepare yourself for more. And if you start playing in one series where you're running gun trading chances, some of that game potentially leaks over to the next series if you make it there. So for the Oilers, to me, you've got to worry about the defensive game because let's just, hypothetical, they move on to a Vegas or Utah. Well, that series is going to be a lot harder than maybe this particular series is. Vegas is it's a physical team. They play hard-nosed hockey. They're defensive, especially now with Tortorella. The teams that you could potentially face are going to present more of a challenge than potentially the Anaheim Ducks. And once again, I'm not trying to say this series is done. I'm just giving you kind of a hypothetical as you move forward. But you got to focus on that defensive end because that's going to help propel you throughout the playoffs.
Okay, I want to dip into the Derek Dodge inbox, 780-218-9999. Jump into the nasty chat as well. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. Coach Mike brings up an interesting question. Says, Dostal played a lot of hockey this season, 56 games in total. In the 2-6-2 stretch to finish the season, he played 7 of those games, going 1-5-1. I think he's tired. I think the Oilers have the advantage in net. Is 56 games at the point now in hockey where we're going, that's a lot for a goalie? And the other thing, too, is now Dostal probably struggled in those games, but the inability for Anaheim to defend, how much does that break a guy? And after doing so much, holding the fort for so long, you bend and bend and bend, and then eventually you can't hold it anymore.
Well, if you keep shutting the offense down where, there's no run support, that becomes hard. If the Oilers are playing a game where, they have this stretch where they're limiting teams to, I think, 20 shots or less. That is tough tough over and over again.
Yeah.
When you keep looking up and you know you've gone 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and you're like, man, we haven't even put up a shot on net and everything's hard. The more you do that throughout the course of a series, the more you start to feel it kind of in the back of your head where you're like, man, what do we got to do to kind of break through the defense here? And if on the other side, offensively, you're consistently putting up 3-4 goals, like teams start to question, as much as we know that these guys are professionals and they're, you know, some of the most mentally tough athletes we have, especially in this sport, it still plays a factor. The mental game plays a factor because the mental game is 80% of it. The physical is really only 20% of it. And so if you consistently go through that and you're like, man, they're giving up nothing. They're giving up nothing. Okay, goal. They're giving up nothing. Goal. That's hard. That's hard to do. And it just becomes one of those games that becomes now a mental test more than anything.
Go ahead, Benny.
So 56 games for Gazzola this year. Let's not forget he played the Olympics as well, right? Like, and he didn't get a break in February there, which obviously Connor Ingram got to. And I mean, he wasn't even the main starter for this team for a large majority of the season. It was a point I made a couple weeks ago where, like, Connor Ingram, you can ride him pretty heavily heading into the playoffs because he simply hasn't played a whole lot of games this year. And I would expect that to be it to his advantage on a hopeful deep playoff run for this Oilers team. Ingram has played solid hockey, but not a lot of it, which is probably a good thing for them. In terms of Gazzola, yeah, is he the more skilled goalie than Connor Ingram? Yeah, probably. But again, though, I think with how Ingram has played and, you know, a possible chance that Gazzola runs out of gas here, it definitely could favor the Oilers. So I appreciate the text, Coach Mike, because that's a good point you made.
Oh, there's my buddy Jared and his cousin. Oh, good to see you, buddy. Jared from Popeyes. Good to see you. You know Bellsy. Hey, boys. Good to see you. There's a blast from the past. Good to see you. Good. Cal and Sarah are taking off. Have fun at the game, you guys. Mix in a water. Bye, Jubes. See you guys. Have fun. See you. We got Reed Wilkins. He's finishing up his dinner. You got time. Bellsy, I got one more for you that I want to float to you. It comes via the Derek Dodge inbox, 780-218-9999. Then you're off and running to the building, too.
Yep.
It's from Troll. Troll texting in says, we all know why Henrique is in, but do you guys think Szymanski should have made the lineup? He's arguably the better player, but I get going with the veteran. What's the leash like for Henrique, and what do you make of that scenario?
Okay, I'm going to change it. We know that Szymanski is maybe faster. We know that he's bonded with, you know, Doc and Frederick.
Yeah.
But who makes less mistakes?
The veteran. Who's not going to be intimidated by the moment?
That's kind of
likely.
That is the rationale.
Okay.
It doesn't take away from Szymanski's game. It doesn't take away from where Szymanski's going to go or where he currently is. I really like Szymanski. I think he's been a great addition to this hockey team. I think you're going to see him in the playoffs at some point.
Yep.
But Henrique right now, for most coaches, they want a guy that they know that they can trust. I'm not telling you it's right. I'm not even telling you it's wrong. I'm not even telling you it's indifferent. I'm just telling you, coaches will tell you, we want a guy that we trust. We want a guy that has been there, has the experience, doesn't shrink to the moment like you just mentioned.
Right.
That is what coaches are thinking. So, will you see him, Szymanski, in the playoffs? Yeah, I do think so. I think there's going to be some injuries. I think there's going to be guys, you know, kind of in and out of the lineup, working their way through their own particular games. But for game one,
you go with what you know.
You go with what you know and you give it to Henry.
All right. Okay, Bellsy, final thoughts before you head inside. Also, I want to know, how are you enjoying this game? Because I think you're in the alumni seats.
I'm not in the alumni seats. I'm in seats that I got from the alumni.
Okay.
I should be in the press box, but that's another conversation.
I agree.
So they decided it was a good idea to give me normal seats.
So how does that change the way you take in the game?
I'm now going with a buddy of mine, former first overall pick, 8th overall to the Dallas Stars, Scott Glennie.
Is Glennie here right now?
He may or may not like to have a good time.
Glennie likes to have it. He's a good time. He's a good guy.
I feel like he's going to try to delete some beers tonight.
Mix in water, Glennie.
And so that's going to be the way it changes, the way I consume this game. Now,
We just need you at 85% tonight.
Said, I'll be at 75% tonight. I'll be perfectly fine. And I'm excited for it. So this is going to be a good game. I think the Oilers are going to win. I think the building's going to be rocking. It better be rocking. I don't even hope that it better be. I want to be a fan tonight until I got to come back on here, obviously.
Then you put your analyst hat back on.
So I'm excited. I think the Oilers, like I said, are going to win the game. I'm not going to predict the score because my scores lately have been
off.
Yeah. That's a polite way of putting it.
That's okay.
But let's just go with the other win.
All right, well, the scene around here is quite nice, I have to say, at the Canadian Ice House, and it'll be great inside the building, and then hopefully the Oilers can put on a show on the ice and give everybody a lovely, lovely Monday night. Belsey, great stuff as always, my friend. I'll see you on the postgame show.
Nasties.
Here you go. There's our game analyst, Sean Belle, with Game Changers, and then some, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. All right, here's what we're going to do, Benny Thomson. We're going to go to myself and Sean Gentille from The Athletic. And then on the other side of that, we're going to have Reed Wilkins as well as more texts and thoughts. Pardon me. So let's go to Sean Gentille from earlier in the day. All right, the playoffs are here. The Oilers and the Ducks, last teams to get going. We're joined by Sean Gentille from The Athletic, who's back in town. It's been a couple of years since we had you back. Good to have you back. The place is the same. I know you're super excited. You came out from the East Coast. What are you looking forward to about being back in Edmonton?
The Sherlock Holmes, baby. I've been there twice already.
All right. Their check's in the mail for you.
Yeah. Free advertising here. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Outside of the bars, the hockey that we're expecting starting tonight, Sean. What do you look at this series and some of the keys on the outside looking in?
I want to see a chaos series. I know that's what everybody said. You look at the Ducks' defensive numbers. This is a team that was, they've been among the worst in the league in every single conceivable defensive category really for the last few years, and not much has changed, right? Like Joel Quenneville's made them a better team. They're outscoring a lot of their problems. And, granted, the Oilers defensively are not the same team as they were even a month or 6 weeks ago. We can thank Connor Murphy and a couple other people for that. But, man, I think we want to see a lot of goals, and there's a pretty good chance that we're going to get them.
The fact that the Ducks kind of struggled going into the playoffs, do you think that's a concern? Because the stretch drive, we talk about elevated play and how teams start to ramp up, and Anaheim kind of struggled with that. Do you think that is something that Joel Quenneville and his group should be worried about?
It's got to be, because you have Leo Carlson. Like, Leo Carlson's the straw that stirs the drink for them, right? He's the best player on that team on most nights. He's also been dealing with an injury that popped up before the Olympics. He's not producing at the same rate that he was early in the season when he looked like a dude that was taking that jump. Yep. There was a point in October or November where he was mentioned in the same breath as Macklin Celebrini, right, as a guy that had leveled up kind of year over year. That's fallen off. I think the injury has a lot to do with that. And I also think that injury has a lot to do with, why we saw them stub their toe down the stretch a little bit, right? It was a lot of the same problems that we'd seen present themselves over the course of the season. Again, really bad defensive team. Lucas Dostal also looked like he was running out of gas down the stretch. That's also a big problem. That dude faces a ton of shots on a day-to-day basis. So I think those are the two biggest concerns, is that Carlson's not playing his best hockey coming into this, and neither is Dostal. And those are two guys that, we're really steering the ship for them at the start of things here. Sean, what's your take on the Oilers? Because I know they're back at the playoffs, and anything can happen when you get into the postseason. They've been to the Stanley Cup final and lost the last 2 years, but it's not the same team that went last year. It's not the same team that went back in 2024 and lost in 7 games. You observing the Oilers from afar, what have you noticed about them, and what do you think of them going into this? It's amazing what someone like Matt Savoy can do when he's in the mix, right? Like, I think the fact that he's popped the way he has on McDavid's line, really post-Olympics, it changes some of the math for them, right? Because you have that dude on the entry-level contract who's super skillsy, super cheap, been productive at every point in his career thus far, and it looks like he's kind of found his stride in the NHL, right? So when you have a guy like that can pop at the right time and present themselves as a dude who's capable of playing with McDavid in a real way, I think that kind of changes the calculus. Jason Dickinson does as well too. I know we didn't see him for all that long. I know he blocked the shot against the Sharks, and missed some time. Yep. But that is a stable, legitimate, quality defensive 3C, and I think that's something that they've lacked for a long time too. So you look at those two guys in the mix. I think the fact that they're, involved in a way, certainly that they weren't at the beginning of the season, when everybody had very, very rightful, very founded concerns about the support players.
Right.
I think that does kind of change the way that should change the way we talk about them, right? Because you have a score and you have that defensive element behind the big guys.
All right, you talked about Lucas Dostal a little bit, and maybe the way he struggled a little bit, but the Oilers went through their goaltending struggles this year, and the guy they got rid of...
Why would happen?
The guy they got rid of, we'll get to that, started game one for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and all of a sudden Connor Ingram has emerged as the starter for the Edmonton Oilers. We're watching Calvin Pickard, who went 7-1 in the playoffs last year, practicing as the third goalie here. How do you observe Edmonton's goaltending situation, and what do you think they have in Connor Ingram as the starter?
I think he brings a level of stability to the situation. I'm not saying anything new there. I know that everyone knows this, but that's the kind of play they need. Is a guy who seems like, at least thus far for them, he's a steady hand at the wheel. Like, it's not what Tristan Jarry is. I live in Pittsburgh. I watched Tristan Jarry a lot over the years. Are
you surprised he's not the starter?
I'm not surprised at all. No, okay. I think there's a level of volatility that he brings, to the net that we saw in Pittsburgh, and that we've certainly seen in Edmonton. And that was the biggest reason not to like that deal, honestly, on the Oilers side when they made it, is because, for as talented as Tristan Jarry is, and I think based on talent and athletic ability and certain things like that, I think he could be like a mid-level starter, but he's never put it together for any serious length of time. And the end result is what? You have a guy that on a given night, you don't know if he's going to let in 3 of the first 5 shots. You don't know if he's a guy that's going to pitch a shutout. And I think it's a more elevated version of the issues that they had with Skinner, honestly. Like, it seemed like they were taking a problem and making it worse, honestly. And I'm not surprised to see that this is the way it's gone down at all.
Oilers fans have clued into that. Took a little bit, but that has been the case between the pipes for the Edmonton Oilers. Okay, this series, like you said, a lot of volatility. The potential is there for a ton of goals, maybe a lack of defense. We're assuming the Oilers will buckle down defensively. They've done that a little bit with the arrival of Connor Murphy and Jason Dickinson. Long series, short series, take the over every night. How would you handicap this one?
I'm saying Oilers in 5.
Okay. So you don't want to go to Orange County?
I'm stuck. I'm staying like almost literally outside Disneyland, so I'm not going to complain about that. Okay. Look, man. Do I have like actual reservations about the Oilers as like a top tier contender? Absolutely. We should. Yeah. There are fair questions to ask there. I think they're still a significantly better team than the one that they're facing, and I think they're trying to go strength against strength if you're the Ducks, and when 97 and Draisaitl are on the other team, man, that's a tough ask.
The fact that Draisaitl's probably back, even though he might not be at 100%, how much of an X factor is that?
I think it's if he indeed plays tonight, and it certainly seems like he will, based on the way that the last few days have gone. I think that's you want him to find his footing. You want him to reacclimate to the pace of playoff hockey as soon as possible, right? Just scratch that off the list. Even if he plays in like kind of a maybe a more limited capacity to keep his minutes low, like whatever. I think that's a good thing, and I think getting it done in game 1 is certainly much more it's preferable to getting it done in game 3 or game 4. Like, come out fast. Get an early win over an inferior team and just kind of take it from there.
Hey, good stuff, Shawn. Welcome back. And at the Ice House, first round's on me, okay?
Let's go, baby.
All right, Sean Gentille, The Athletic. Great guy, and nice to have him back in town. The Iceman cometh. Eric Stevens also here for The Athletic. And I'm sure we'll see and hear from Shawn once again as we welcome in Reed Wilkins, host of the Reed Wilkins Show from 3 to 6 Monday to Friday on Edmonton Sports Talk. You're fueled up. Would you have to eat?
I just had salt and pepper wings, baby.
How were they?
All I needed. They were delicious.
Yeah.
Hit the spot. I was quite hungry. I'm feeling great now.
Benny's pumped up about those salt and pepper wings.
They weren't lemon pepper, Benny. Just regular pepper.
You love lemon pepper.
I do.
From the pepper fields of Mornville.
Okay, you heard Sean Gentille a little bit there, Riedrich. He's not surprised whatsoever about the situation with Tristan Jarry and how, he was traded to Edmonton from Pittsburgh and expected to, a lot of people thought maybe he would be the number 1, and that hasn't really panned out. You were a guy pretty much from the outset when Connor Ingram got here that said he will start game 1 of the playoffs for the Oilers, and that's exactly...
Well, once he played a few games. I didn't know what to expect
pretty
first,
much the outset.
But after he played 3 or 4 games...
That's what we're going to see
and
tonight.
Started out playing Jari, it certainly looked like that. I mean, Ingram's an incredible story, and he's got a chance to make it even more incredible. I mean, like, I don't know if the Oilers can go all the way. If they don't go all the way, I don't think it'll be because of Ingram, but he's got a chance to really tell a great story here and get himself a good contract. I mean, I think hopefully in Edmonton, if you're an Oilers fan, or who knows, he could choose to wait and go elsewhere.
That's
but
true.
Especially how he played the last few games of the season, he was excellent. And the biggest compliment I can give to Ingram is that it'd be hard to go back over the course of his season and find questionable goals or momentum-turning goals that were solely on him. I mean, he made a mistake in San Jose when he went to get his stick. Okay, that's a judgment call as much as a goaltending error.
Right.
You know, you don't see the shots going in that kind of float past his glove. Where
it ducks under a shot.
Yeah, or like, well, it hit under the crossbar. That's a good shot, but it happens 3 or 4 times a game. I mean, he might let in a shot that's off the post and in, but it's not happening multiple times a game. He's making the saves he should make. He makes a couple he maybe shouldn't make, and he doesn't let anything leak through him. And he really hasn't let in, I mean, there's probably been a couple if you went back, but you'd be hard-pressed to find a lot of goals where it's like, oh, my God, that's the one that beat him.
Right.
Like, or man, they were up 2-1 and they're playing well, and now it's tied because Ingram didn't stop that one. So he's a great story. I mean, Jari is a story because he probably won't play, and doesn't inspire confidence with anybody right now.
Yeah.
The bigger story will be with him in the summer. Could you move him? I mean, I'd hate to talk about a buyout, but that's
really
that's
quickly
down
on
the
that.
road.
I had someone mention to me that they were trying to look for a new home for him, or there was in the off season, but that might be scuttled because of changes in management with other teams.
Well, that's.
Yeah.
I don't like talking about those stories too much when there's games right now, but that will be.
I brought it up as an aside, and this is my show.
No, I'm not saying. I'm not saying you shouldn't bring it up. I think it is worth talking about. I'm not going to dive deep into that.
I know
right now, but it was
an interesting comment.
That is a future concern for sure.
It was an interesting comment that was made to me today, and it was like unprovoked as well. So, but that looks like it's out the window. Anyway, Oilers and Ducks, third time in franchise history that these two teams are both franchise history that they lock horns in the postseason. 1-1. The Ducks winning in 7 in the second round in 2017. You and I were both on coverage of that one. And then in 2006, Edmonton winning in 5 games en route to a Stanley Cup final appearance. When I suggest that this is the opposite and the scenarios have flipped for these teams compared to 2017, you would say what?
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, I guess the Ducks are hoping to rise up.
Right.
You know, had a somewhat, I predicted them to make the playoffs, but a somewhat unexpected rise to the postseason.
Yep.
I suppose there are some parallels to the Oilers team in 2017 that a lot of the thinking was they'd missed the playoffs for the 11th straight year, and they were, I think, 9th overall. And I believe they were 7th defensively. Talbot was 4th for the Vezina voting.
Yep.
It's not a direct comparison because that Oilers team in 2016-17 was better defensively than this Ducks team is. I mean, it really was. It really was.
Good
if you
point.
compare them to the rest of the league, I think certainly some of the younger firepower is somewhat comparable. McDavid and Draisaitl were young and on the way up. That was kind of Draisaitl's breakout year.
Absolutely.
Where it's like, he's actually a first liner. He's not a support player.
Yep.
You know, he's not a good second line center. He's actually a first line player. And I guess the Ducks have, Gauthier had, was it 41? You know, you got Leo Carlson, you got Terry and McTavish. So I think they both been in the doghouse at points this season.
McTavish definitely was. I think he was getting healthy scratched at some points, Benny.
Terry, he have 2 hits. That's shocking. I didn't know that till this morning.
Well, the first one,
the final
they made
of the season.
Yeah, they made a very big deal about his first hit of the year.
Yeah, which I'm sure there was contact, but to actually get credited with the body check. So I think there are some comparisons, but I don't want to go too far with that because there are only 4 players from that series. I don't know how many scouts and behind the scenes people there were. I guess Woody would be in both series as an assistant coach now that he's with on Quenneville's staff.
Adam Henrique, I believe, was with the Ducks at that point, or was he still in New Jersey?
Still New Jersey, I think.
He was in New Jersey. Yeah, I think he was in New Jersey.
9 years ago.
Yeah.
Time flies, man.
So there are certain storylines that are somewhat similar for sure, enough to make it interesting to talk about. I can't argue with that, but I also think there's a lot of ways in which it's a little divergent from that.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, text us. Did you want to add anything?
Well, I just wanted to say it was an interesting walk over here.
Tell me more.
It's awesome to see the crowd. Really cool to see someone recognize me and say hello to Reed Wilson. So I was like, it's Wilkins. And he's like, oh, sorry. I'm like, I'm just giving you a hard time. Have a good game.
It is 420. Someone called you Weed Wilkins on the nasty chat earlier. I appreciate that. Well done.
As I was walking into the ice house, a gentleman says, hey, Reed. And I turned around and I was like, hi. And he goes, tell Tom we love him. And I was like, oh, you don't love me. And he's like, no. We don't need to tell you or something like that. I was like, okay, I'll tell him. Let's laugh.
Well, I appreciate that.
But I do want to bring this up, even though I've talked about it the last couple of years. Seeing this vibe downtown is really cool. So I walked from the north side of the arena all the way down the east side and then across the front to get into the ice house here. And they have a part where you can walk through the plaza, or if you're not going to the Moss Pit.
Yes.
And most people in line were probably under 25.
Yeah.
And so I did think about that, about how their experience of consuming Oilers hockey will be, because I'm old enough to remember Northlands Coliseum.
Absolutely.
I wasn't living in Edmonton when I was a kid, but an hour away. And then we went through a long period where the team was a fringe playoff team and then out of the playoffs for a long time. So if you're 20 right now, you don't really remember the decade of darkness.
No.
You maybe know they got McDavid, maybe your mom or dad or your older brother or uncle tells you about this time where they could never make the playoffs. If you're 20, that's not really real to you. Yeah, this is real. 7 straight years in the playoffs, coming downtown to come to the plaza, jump up and down when they score like it's like it's one of these rock and roll concerts or something like that.
Oh, one of those.
Yeah. So it just it's got a great vibe to it. It's turned into a great gathering place, which I think obviously was the intention when this was
Absolutely.
all. But maybe even turned out better than OEG thought in terms of some of the public spaces that they can use and how it looks on television and all that.
Well, the fan park, I think, was unexpected offshoot
the
of
secondary
it.
space,
Yeah, because, I do miss the Baccarat Casino dearly. I'm kidding. It was a decrepit casino that has been replaced. And that's going to be the event center at some point, which will also house, playoff watch parties. Right. I know DJ Bose, my neighbor and a friend, is working the ones and twos over there. We're going to have DJ Sid here. It has become and I know there's going to be phase 2 of Ice District over top of this building. There's a 35-story tower that's about to be constructed.
There's still another one coming up here.
There's another one going to be. It's like they're ready to build it, and there's a lot. This has become a great hub, and now I live across the street.
Yeah, you live in this area.
Yeah, the
cool.
more people that live around here, the better. Bringing back vibrancy, and you know what, the Oilers and OEG deserve credit for that because they've done it. And listen, it's not without its problems. Trust me, I see it every day. But this Benny Thomson, you are that next generation where. This was just a figment of our imagination when we were younger.
Sure.
Yeah. It's everyone my age now. It is, even if you're not even a hockey fan, it's just the thing to do. You go to the Moss Pit or the fan park, or you go on White Ave and you go hit a bar or a restaurant, whatever it is. It's just. I know so many people that didn't care about hockey growing up, but now it's an event for them because this is it's just part of being an Edmontonian. So yeah, it's crazy what they've been able to do with Ice District and all that, and trust me, I've enjoyed some of it for working this show. It's incredible. It's an awesome spot to go watch the game.
I can tell that they love it and it's an event for them because I see their puke splashes the next morning.
Oh yeah.
Yep. It's a thing. All right, Riedrich, I know you want to get settled in up in the press box. Final thoughts from you going into game 1 here.
Well, I think it's interesting that over the course of the season, and then really kind of since the trade deadline, the Oilers have become a team that possibly could push another team around. That was not there most of the season. So they've added Murphy, Dickinson, and Doc, who all play with that. Frederick is like a bit of a new player since the Olympic break. Still doesn't score very often, but he hits more.
Yep.
And I know Szymanski's not playing, but he can play a tough game and get in the way. And then obviously with Murphy helping Nurse, that's helped. So that's 5 or 6 players that are new or are playing better than they were for most of the season.
Yeah.
And most of that comes with a defensive, gritty, physical dimension. So that's what's interesting to me is there's the actual possibility here for the Oilers to push the Ducks around.
Isn't that crazy?
And I think even in the past couple of years, I don't know if the Oilers have had an opponent where that's been the perception.
Right.
Because, the Oilers have had some tough players, physical players, agitating players. I mean, Perry and Kane, players like that who could, beef it up and get in the way and be irritants. But they were playing opponents that in LA that still, I know they played LA a lot, but Dustin Brown back 4 years ago, and players who could mix it up themselves.
Yes.
So it didn't, even though the Oilers could do it, it didn't seem like that much of an advantage. In this series, at least, I think it'd be different if they play Vegas in the next series.
Right.
But I think in this series where the Oilers could actually bully the Ducks a little bit, and no disrespect to Gudas and Trouba and Killorn, and certainly Kreider can play a bit of a cheesy game.
Ross Johnson, who's hurt.
But are the young guys on the Ducks ready for that in its postseason form? If they are, or Quenneville has them playing loose and free, then maybe. But this could be a series, to speak optimistically, where the Oilers defend better and are more committed physically. If all goes well. That's my optimistic view of it.
I like it. It sets up well for the Oilers, at least from the outside looking in. We'll see how these teams perform. Execution is key. You executed absolutely perfectly in your segment on the pregame show.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you for having me.
I look forward to having you on Reed's Read, brought to you by Ewell on the postgame show.
I'm going to do it.
Well, you better believe you're going to do it. All right, Reed Wilkins, he'll be joining us on the postgame show. Great stuff from Riedrich. And we have a few minutes to go. You can text us. I'm going to get to some of those texts, 780-218-9999. I'll get into the game day odd check. Of course, the inbox brought to you by Derek Dodge. Derek Dodge is back and under new ownership at Derek Dodge. Lease a 2026 Ram for as low as $250 bi-weekly. Come see what's changed and find out why the best deal is a Derek deal. Visit DerekDodge.com for more information. Before we get to the game day odds check, Benny Thomson, let's get to a few texts here. We got a good audience over on YouTube, and I'm assuming a pretty strong one on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, of course, EvanstonSportsTalk.com's audio player. Let's dive into the Derek Dodge inbox. Tube Socks gets in there, says, Tommy, you look sharp, steady, built for trouble. You look great, which is good because this isn't a quick stop. It's a long, bruising playoff haul. Long-time listener, long-time texter, seen how these runs go. You've got the look of someone who lasts. Now go prove it. Hey, Tube Socks, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Let's see how long the Oilers make this last, and I'll be good to go for the entirety of it. Like we were last year, Benny Thomson. I know you weren't a part of that, but we've been doing it for a few years now where we expect and we ride along for extended runs in the postseason. I think the potential for that to happen is there. The likelihood, maybe not as great as years past, but you never know in the postseason. Troll getting in there says, I miss the old Greyhound station down there. Said no one ever. Yeah, the Greyhound station was pretty much right around where this spot is right now. It was awful. It did not draw a good crowd, and there was an A&W there. There was also a Staples, Benny Thomson. I think you're too young to remember. There was a Staples over there, and I think we're doing a little bit better 12 years later with what we've got. I know the building, the arena is coming up on its 10-year anniversary, same with the Ice District, but again, it took a couple of years to build, so I'm extending it to a dozen years. Man, oh man, was that a process to get to that point, and they've done a great job with it. Let's go to Coach Mike. says it's a minor miracle the Ducks made the playoffs midway through the season. They went 2-11-2. They also went 2-6-2 to finish the year, so a stretch of 4-17-4 in 25 games. Still qualified for the playoffs. Mind-boggling stuff. Yes, and it also speaks to how bad the Pacific Division was. Bobby LaFrench says, hey, boys, game one, here we go again. Sending love from Montreal, where the city is absolutely buzzing, and despite the snow on the ground this morning, we are watching outside as usual. Go Oil, this will be the year of Bouchard. That's from Bobby LaFrench. And speaking of out-of-town scores, Philly leading Pittsburgh 2-0 late in the third. Goalie pulled for the Pens. Are you surprised, Benny, how that series is going?
A little bit. To me, I wasn't the biggest believer of the Penguins, but you also know my take on the Philadelphia Flyers from Hello Hockey. I'm also not a big believer in the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah.
So
you and Belzy don't like them.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I'll give him credit. Good for them. And Porter Martone, this kid's a dog. He opens the scoring today. Got the game winner in game one. Dan Vladar has been a big reason why they're doing their thing this year. I'd expect a little bit more from these Penguins, man. But again, though, I wasn't too high on either team. I think whoever wins this series is going to lose to either the Sens or the Hurricanes, whoever comes out of there. So, good on the Flyers, man. Looks like they're going to go up 2-0 in the series, heading back home, which is a big deal for them. So good for them.
2-2, Ottawa and Carolina in the third period. And then we await Minnesota-Dallas as we also await Edmonton and Anaheim. All right, one more text from Safety Bob. Says, Tommy, looking sharp. I've been waiting 307 days for this face-off. Time to finish what they started. Oilers 5, Ducks 2. Drop the puck. LG. That one from Safety Bob. Rowdy Roddy. I'll get to that one after I rattle off the game day odds check, which is brought to you by Play Alberta. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Safe and secure. The revenue generated from Play Alberta is redirected into Alberta's General Revenue Fund, which is used to support programs and services that Albertans rely on every day. Your money line for tonight, Edmonton, pretty big favorites, minus 182. Anaheim at plus 153. The over-under, Benny Thomson, set at 7.5. They're expecting some goals over at Play Alberta. The over at plus 153, the under at minus 182. And, of course, that's a 7.5 over-under. That is your game day odds check brought to you by Play Alberta. Oh, my goodness. Now we're getting people talking about the old arena district and what it used to be. My dad, Reno, texting in, says, the King Edward Hotel was across the street from the bus station. Great place to have a beer and shoot pool back in the 70s and 80s. And then there's also what used to be the Grand Hotel, which is now Whiskey Barn. On my buddies, we were doing a pre-stag, and we went on a pub crawl through downtown Edmonton. It was nothing like it is now.
Yep.
And we stopped in at the Grand Hotel. It smelled like piss and had like 3 lights on. We had a Ryan Coke and got the out of there on our way to the Baccarat. We had quite the day. Yeah. No, we spread it out. We went to a bunch of different places. I think we ended up at Hudson's downtown, which was on 104th Avenue and 112th Street. Great spot for a long time. And then, by the way, Game 6, we're going to be at Hudson's on White Avenue. It's going to be awesome. All the home games are going to be here at the Canadian Ice House. And Game 3, Boston Pizza Clairview. Game 4, Boston Pizza 170th. And look out, because Big Uke got his Pro Serve. So he is now able to serve alcohol legally in the province of Alberta. And if only he knew managers and owners of bars and restaurants where we do the pre- and post-game show. That could be trouble.
Yep. I don't know. And especially if he meets the right owner, too, that's like just willing to dish out drinks. Like, could be in trouble.
Look out. Could be trouble indeed, Benny Thomson. All right. We're going to wind down with a couple more texts and some final thoughts. Rowdy Roddy. Hello, Rowdy Roddy says, is this the year, boys? Love the show, Tommy. Can you ask Shawn if the ignition of the lower guys will make the difference? Dickinson, Murphy, Doc, I think that's what we needed, and Ingram will be the difference. Your pal, Rowdy Roddy. I think he hit on those things.
A little bit, yeah.
And then, Norman of Combine is sitting at the Glendale. Ooh. King of the Castle. Driving range is open and the lounge is open for the game. Say hi to Bruce Hardy and Jeff McGregor and the rest of the Combine crew over at the Glendale. Cole Harbor Joe chiming in. Always great show to get the listeners and fans fired up. Keep it up, boys. LG. Cole Harbor Joe, thank you so much. Tube Socks says, you know who else isn't a believer in the Flyers? The Flyers. They're up. They're on the cusp. They're up 3-0. Unbelievable. Good for them. And then, Sarah from New York. Let's go, Oilers. Watching all the way in New York. Thank you, Sarah. Great to hear from you. And enjoy the game. All right, Benny Thompson, some final thoughts from you before we wrap.
Yeah, I mean, to me, what I'm expecting for the Oilers tonight is to look like the experienced team. This Anaheim's Ducks team has not been in the playoffs for a while, especially that core. They've never been in the playoffs. So, when you're Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, Boucher, and you can go down the lineup, guys that have been on deep playoff runs and you're in your cup window, to me, you need to make the Anaheim Ducks light work. You need to make them know that they are the inferior team and that they're going to sit there and be bullied by the Edmonton Oilers. They have the guys to do it. To me, I expect them to set the pace, get on top early. You're going to have the building behind you at Rogers Place. It's going to be buzzing tonight. So I expect the Oilers come out flying against the Ducks and take us 1-0 seriously and see where it goes from there. That's what I expect from the Oilers tonight.
Let the experience guide you. Stay within your game. Let your goalie see what he needs to see, and don't get into trouble. Don't get too excited. Harness that energy. That's what I want to see from the Edmonton Oilers. I do like their chances in this series. This is an upstart, rambunctious Anaheim Ducks team that can burn you if you're not careful. So let's see if the Oilers can bring that skill hand and that veteran savvy to this series, and they should be punching their ticket to the second round. If that doesn't happen, at the end of tonight, we're going, look out. But either way, it's going to be an entertaining night here in Ice District. A big thank you to Fernando Pisani for stopping by. Great stuff. Thank you to Patty Garland and D. Jasper for setting that up for us. Hopefully we'll get another player, former Oiler great for the pregame show on Wednesday. Thank you to everybody who watched, everybody who listened. We appreciate it so much. All the cameo appearances, Jared and Richie from Modern Measure, and some others that popped by. For Sean Belle, for Ben Thomson, for Reed Wilkins, I am Tom Gazzola saying thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy Game 1 of the first round series between the Oilers and the Ducks. We'll be back here at the Canadian Ice House for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream post-game show. Ciao for now, everyone. Let's go.